let's talk about another example here. All right. What if we had 5x squared minus 45x plus 100? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set that equal to 0, but remember I still have to have a factored form. Okay, now we talked about greatest common factor a little bit the other day. Okay, you have to factor out the greatest common factor before you can go through your big X process. Okay, so if I'm looking at these three terms, I know it's set equal to 0 already. Okay, so that's one of the things you're going to have to look at. But in the process of factoring, I have to be able to see, okay, all of these are divisible by 5. Okay, now they don't have any variables in common, so I'm not going to factor out a variable, although that's possible. But I am going to factor out the 5, and that means I'm going to have x squared left minus 9x plus 20. Okay, when I redistribute this, that would be 5 times x squared, it would give me this, 5 times negative 9, 5 times 20. So basically I'm just dividing all these by 5. So ultimately what's happening. That's how you can rewrite it in factored form. Now this is factored, but it's not completely factored, because now I can factor this. Okay, and this is what I have to use the big X for. Alright, so for me to be able to solve this, I have to get this in factored form. So I will say, alright, what multiplies to give me 20, because 1 times 20, okay, and adds to give me negative 9. Alright, so if I start thinking about, okay, what multiplies to give me 20? Well, 1 and 20, that's not going to help me. 2 and 10, that's not going to help me because I'm looking for negative 9. As I continue to move up, I can say, oh, well, negative 4 and negative 5 will work, because they will add to give me a negative 9, but a negative times a negative will give me a positive 20. Alright, so I'm going to rewrite this in factored form, minus 4x minus 5, and now that's set equal to 0. Okay, this is factored form, and yes, this is necessary. Alright, so please don't skip this step and just move on past it. You have to write it out in factored form. Okay, but now we can solve it. Now this doesn't really have an effect because there's no variable involved. Okay, it's remember what can I plug in for x, okay, that's going to get these to multiply to give me 0. So I'm worried about anything with a variable in it. So x minus 4 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. So that means x equals 4 and x equals 5. Okay, I would just add 4 on both sides. So those are my two solutions to this quadratic. Now remember what I said on the other video, okay, when we draw this graph. So if you were to graph this, okay, and I'm just trying to show you how to use your calculator. Okay, if you were to graph this, what you're looking for is where it crosses. Okay, so if I do 5x squared minus 45x plus 100, it should be crossing the x-axis at 4 and 5, and it sure is. Okay, there's the 4, there's the 5, and that's what you're finding. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult to see here in the calculator, but that does confirm my answers for me.